Picture this. It's a cold December night, and millions around the globe are retelling the story of a baby born in a manger. A tale of shepherds, angels, a star, and the Virgin Mother. But not everyone believes this story. Skeptics argue that the Nativity is just a myth, a borrowed tale stitched together from pagan legends and early Christian imagination. Is that true? Or does the Christmas story stand on solid historical ground? Today, we're going to dive into the 10 reasons the Christmas story is not a myth. From historical records to archaeological evidence, we'll uncover the truth about the birth of Jesus Christ. Now, here we go. Reason 1. The reign of Herod matches the timeline. The Gospel of Matthew places Jesus' birth during the reign of King Herod the Great. Herod was a real historical figure ruling Judea from 37 to 4 BC under Roman authority. Even historians like Josephus provide detailed accounts of Herod's reign, confirming key elements of his character, such as his paranoia and violent tendencies. This aligns with Matthew's account of the Massacre of the Innocents, where Herod orders the killing of male children under 2 in Bethlehem. Now, critics argue that this massacre is unrecorded outside the Bible. However, considering Herod's numerous atrocities, such as executing his own wife and sons, this even might have been too minor in scale to warrant mention by other historians. So you see, the historical accuracy of Herod's reign strengthens the credibility of the Nativity timeline. Reason 2. The census under Quirinius. In Luke chapter 2, it records a decree from Caesar Augustus for a census requiring Joseph and Mary to travel to Bethlehem. Critics have questioned this, claiming there is no evidence of such a census. But you see, Roman censuses were common. Archaeological evidence, like inscriptions found in Egypt, shows that censuses often required people to return to their ancestral homes. While the exact census Luke mentions may not be directly documented, it aligns with the known practices of the time. Additionally, Luke's detail about Quirinius governing Syria is debated. Scholars have suggested that Quirinius may have had earlier administrative roles which could account for Luke's reference. But overall, the census fits Roman practices, showing Luke's attention to historical detail. Reason number 3. Bethlehem's location and prophecy. Bethlehem is central to the Nativity story as the birthplace of Jesus. Far from being a random choice, this town fulfills Old Testament prophecy. In Micah, it says, "But you, Bethlehem, Ephrathah, though you are small among the clans of Judah, out of you will come for me one who will be ruler over Israel." You see, Bethlehem has been excavated extensively, revealing a small village consistent with the biblical description. Artifacts like ancient homes in burial caves confirm its existence during the 1st century. Now, critics might argue that Jesus' birth in Bethlehem echoes pagan stories of gods born in sacred places. However, unlike mythical locations, Bethlehem is verifiable, a real-world site tied to Jewish prophecy, not pagan mythology. So you see, Bethlehem's historical and prophetic significance sets the Nativity apart from mythical tales. Reason number 4. The virgin birth is unique. Isaiah chapter 7 prophesies, "The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and will call him Emmanuel." The virgin birth of Jesus, described in Matthew chapter 1 and Luke chapter 1, is a cornerstone of the Nativity. Skeptics claim the virgin birth was borrowed from myths, like those of Horus, Mithras, and Krishna. However, these claims don't hold up under scrutiny. For example, Horus was born to Isis after she reassembled her husband's body, not a virgin birth. Mithras emerged from a rock, not a mother. And Krishna's birth involved a mortal union. So you see, the virgin birth narrative is distinct, rooted in Jewish expectations of the Messiah and unparalleled in pagan traditions. The virgin birth is a theological claim with no direct pagan equivalent. Reason 5. The Star of Bethlehem. Matthew chapter 2 records the Star of Bethlehem guiding the Magi to Jesus. Critics often dismiss this as a legend, but could there be an historical basis? You see, modern astronomers suggest several celestial events around this time. For example, a conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn in 7 BC appearing as a bright star. or a comet or nova recorded by Chinese astronomers around 5 BC. Both align with the Nativity timeline and could explain the star's appearance. So you see, the Star of Bethlehem likely reflects real astronomical phenomena, grounding the Magi's journey in history. Reason number 6. The Magi and their journey. The Magi, or wise men, are another element often dismissed as a myth. However, their journey aligns with historical practices. The Magi were likely Persian or Babylonian astrologers. Historical texts from Herodotus and others confirm that such figures were respected for their knowledge of the stars. Their gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh, were typical tributes in the ancient Near East, adding plausibility to the account. So you see, the Magi's role in the Nativity fits within the historical and cultural practices of the time. Reason number 7. The shepherds in the fields. Luke chapter 2 tells of shepherds who received the angelic announcement of Jesus' birth. Critics argue that this reflects a fictionalized pastoral scene, but archaeology says otherwise. Shepherds were common in the first century Judea, especially around Bethlehem, known for raising sheep used in temple sacrifices. The shepherds' account reflects Jewish expectations of divine revelation to the humble, not a borrowed myth. So you see, the shepherd story aligns with the historical setting of first century Judea. Reason number 8. Early Christian records. The Nativity narrative isn't a late invention. Early Christian writings, like those of Ignatius, reference the virgin birth and Jesus' humanity. These early accounts counter claims that the Nativity was a later mythological addition. So you see, the Nativity story has deep roots in early Christian tradition, predating later embellishments. Reason number 9. Lack of legendary development. You see, legends evolve over time, often growing in fantastical detail. Yet the gospel accounts of Jesus' birth are simple and consistent across Matthew and Luke. In contrast, pagan myths are often filled with bizarre and supernatural elements disconnected from historical reality. In contrast, the Nativity is grounded in specific people, places, and events like Herod, Bethlehem, and the census. So you see, the Nativity lacks the hallmarks of legendary development. Finally, reason number 10. The centrality of the Jewish prophecy. The Christmas story isn't an isolated tale, it's the fulfillment of centuries of Jewish prophecy. From Isaiah chapter 7 to Micah chapter 5, the Nativity ties directly into the messianic hope of the Old Testament. Unlike pagan myths, which often center on capricious gods and magical feasts, the Nativity fulfills a coherent theological narrative spanning centuries. This prophetic continuity is unique to Christianity. The Christmas story is deeply rooted in Jewish prophecy, not borrowed mythology. So, you see, the Christmas story is not a myth, but a historically grounded account supported by archaeology, historical records, and fulfilled prophecy, from the reign of Herod to shepherds in the fields. Every detail points to a real event that changed the world. This Christmas, as we reflect on the Nativity, let's remember its foundation in history and faith. If this video gave you some new perspective on the Christmas story, share it, won't you, with someone who needs to hear the truth about Jesus' birth. And as always, leave your comments down below, inspire me for future videos, and don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on notifications.